Are we on the list? All right, so here with something called. My name's Jeff, and with me is a panel with some of the greatest storyboard artists really on the planet right now. I have no business even. That's how. I think introduce itself here in a second, but we're here to talk about storyboarding superhero shows and what and if there are any differences. So let's get right into it. I'll let my esteemed panel go down the row and have everyone introduce themselves and tell a little bit about what they do.
Hi, I'm Dan Kaplan. I think this is my 30th year of freelance storyboarding, and I've done commercials, music videos, TV shows, features, a lot of TV stuff. Did a lot of HBO stuff like True Blood and Game of Thrones and Westworld, and more recently Penguin, throw in their Homeland, Star Trek Picard. Also recently the new Lanterns show, the Lanterns Day. Can't talk about it yet. But
Dude, have a few credits next on, gee.
But yeah, I'm one of the guys that has only done storyboards really. And all these other guys do comics and all sorts of stuff. I just honed in on storyboard, and that's what I do.
Woo! Yeah.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Drummond. I've been in this also for about 30 years. So I started when I was 5 years old. So I've done movies like A Beautiful Mind, Too Fast, Too Furious, Death Appears Tokyo Patriots, Free Guy. I've done a lot of Marvel stuff, Marvel Free, MCU. I've done Each is Shield for like 6 seasons. Done a lot of jobs able to work a lot with Denzel Washington when he directs. And there you go, up around a little bit. There you go.
Hi, my name's SOWD. I teach a class at school as a manager. I teach like a storyboarding 101. So if anybody wants to, take the class or check it out, you're more than welcome. And most recently, Jeff and I we work on Predator Batmans, which I think comes out next week, or we got November 7th. And the new Sam Raimi movie, Send Help, which is going to be incredible. You can see the trailer. I think it comes out in January. And it's kind of like his return to the horror genre. And I know Jeff, a lot of us, were big fans of Sam. So that's going to be really cool to see. But most recently out of Ezra vs. Kong, the last 2 Spider-Man movies, the first Transformers movie, and I also storyboarded the Transformers ride at Universal Studios.
Yeah, my name is TANI KUNITAKE. I do concept illustration as well as storyboards. But one of my best times boarding was for the original Matrix. And I got to work, the Wachowskis, boarding a lot of their stuff and do concept supports through them. For superheroes, I worked with Bryan Singer doing Superman Terms. And, I like narrative, and then I also like doing pretty paintings. So, but I've been in this business for about 30 years, but my original background is industrial design.
Ooh, awesome.
My name is Charles Ratteray. I've been doing this for about 30 years now, and I started out as an intern over the Stan Winston studio. They did practical effects. Came over from Philly, and then I was in the Mo room. Stan was a really generous person. He allowed us to do concept design and stuff, opportunities to do that. So I was there for a few years, and then I started freelancing after that. And so I just got into advertising, and finally I just kept learning new things, and so that I was able to do TV and film, and then so now the stuff that I've been doing now. So right now I'm known for I did some work on the Jurassic Park movie. I did the river raft chase. I did a few scenes in Deadpool Wolverine, first pass on the car fight, the introduction to Dogpool. That was funny. Interesting thing about that is the Dogpool, the initial idea was when Deadpool put his tongue into Deadpool's mouth. Yeah, that was a lot grosser. But it was boarded out. Yeah, and then Blue Eye Samurai. I did a few scenes of Blue Eye Samurai. Wow. And I was working with Warren with Happy Gilmore. One was for two. Happy Gilmore too. Sorry, he was wonderful enough to bring me on there, and also shout out to Aaron for allowing me to do this with you guys. You know, he invited me onto this panel, so it's amazing.
The show is, what, if any, do you guys think is there a creative, professional, or technical difference between doing a superhero show as opposed to a non-superhero or different kind of genre show?
Either that or Ralph, whichever you are.
I kind of think the secret to storyboarding superhero shows is that there isn't a huge difference if you're focused on the story, because that's what we do. We try to figure out how to tell the story in a visually compelling way, and quite often we're called in to do the stunts, the tricks, the shootout, the more spectacular things, or the moody montage. And the thing about the superhero shows are they just want to supersize those elements. But you know, you also have to keep it grounded and really keep your story in mind. So for me, it's kind of the same process, really. But the other thing, a lot of times, you're doing stuff that isn't in the script in the superhero show. So that has a layer of complexity and imagination.
I would say that working on a superhero show is really just doing an action movie or a horror movie or a comedy, but people in costumes. Because it's still people running, fighting, falling, kicking, catching on fire, crap balls, yada, yada, yada. Just remember that you're not doing a comic book because you got to do things that people can actually do or people can do with special effects. Some are more grounded than others, as you see, but it's still, to me, just actually films with people in costumes.
Yeah, absolutely. What these guys said. I started off the comics. My first one, I was a kid. My dream was to be a comic book artist, and I actually was able to do that. That's what brought me to Los Angeles. Mark Silvestri and his comics. He's having a talent search, and I won the talent search, and been there for like ever since. Like as soon as I got to LA, I'm like, okay, this is my home now. And I was lucky enough to be the art director at Stan in media, and so working for Stan was kind of like a dream come true. But because I had such a long background in comics, I was such a fan. When I work on these Marvel shows like She-Hulk or Super Invasion, a lot of the directors, not all, but some of them, they're not familiar with the genre. And so I bring a lot of that knowledge that, ever since I was little kids, I'm like, I can't believe that we actually get paid to do this. Like, it's so much fun. It's like, I was probably do it for free.
A regular script or whatever, but it's like all these guys have been saying, it just heightened it. But I think one thing that was, what are the rules of the world? Like or you're gonna play physics and everything, and what are the rules? So you gotta kind of contain it in that world rule. So your characters will behave, super powerful or very vulnerable, and there's such a lot of action in these things, right? He's all about action. And I was working with George Miller. One of the greatest things he was saying is punch, counter punch, accelerating rhythms. And then that's how you could go with the momentum. And then they're so powerful that it's fun if you can erode their powers instead of upping the stakes. It's like you degenerate their powers, and that's where you can really get some really cool, inventive scenes going with storyboards. Instead of just upping the action, turning up the volume, just like I think it's really cool with these superpower characters to dull their abilities and then increase the stakes, for superhero films, since they're so powerful, those characters are so powerful. It's like, how do you keep it more excited? Because they're already up here, right? And then we could, that's why I find, if I approach a superhero film, that's why I focus.
Let's see. When I approach those, definitely the story is the most important. The story is the most important part. When storyboarding anything, that's the only like I can storyboard anything like with in comedy, drama, or whatever. It doesn't matter. Story is the most important, so it doesn't really matter what I'm storyboarding. As far as the superhero stuff, I'll usually go after the personality part first. Like with the Deadpool and Wolverine, I was like, I would go. I'd find out what was Wolverine's most personality, what was Deadpool's personality, and then I would arrange the compositions towards that. So I know that with Wolverine stuff that I would just make him very upset for a lot of the scenes, especially in the car fight. Yeah, that's what I would immerse. I immerse myself into the cool thing about the superhero stuff is there's so much background information on it. So I would immerse myself into what their general personality vibes are, and then go from there, and then be able to weave all the different stories together. Because also in the superhero ones, a lot of them are gag based, is that they have a script, but then you'll have to start coming up with things like and new ideas, and then everybody on there is coming up with all these new ideas, and then they piece all that together and then add that to the script. So the script keeps developing and developing and developing. They have a baseline, and then so that's where so if you immerse yourself into what's all the material, then it helps. Yeah.
Nice. So real quick before we get to the next thing, would you all guys consider yourselves comic fans before you started doing this? Did you grow up steeped in that mythology? Is that something that's really important to you guys? Is, sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. That has a bearing on this?
There are definitely bigger comic heroes than I, but I did collect comics. I was reading comics and inspired by comic books. Yeah.
I have always been a deep comic fan. So I still have like comics in the garage, under my table, in the bookshelf, in my shoes. But
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying, I grew up on a farm in Ohio. Like, no TV, man. And I was not allowed to watch TV. My parents, my sister and I are homeschooled. And so when I discovered comic books, I was like a fool in the world. And I was like, oh my God, I know this medium, words and pictures. And so I just started copying when I was a little kid. And I knew what being actually begin to do since I actually I went to school for computer engineering, computer science, and I just hated it. So the fact that I was able to fall into this career to get paid to do something I love, that's really, really well.
Yeah, I always looked at DL Comics, and I wanted to be a comic book artist. And my favorites were like Bill St. Cappage and Frank Miller. Was all obsessed with that, and Neil Adams. But then I ended up, because I'm from Detroit, and I ended up in industrial design and then working for the automotive company until I got to California. Then I was teaching, automotive to students at Art Center, and then it's the students that got me to league automotive. They inspired me to say, the hell with it, just chase it and go work in movies up like you want to. So it's like, so the students help me. Of course.
Yeah. I used to have boxes and boxes and boxes of comics. I used to read all those all the time, trade them all. Yeah, I also really appreciate that, and now I'm able to be a part of the influencing process. Where so when it's when we're in meetings and like that, then I can go back on all the things I remember, and then be able to at least influence as far as little bits of history into it. And so it's really nice to be able to do that.
Nice. So with that said, tell the audience a little bit about how you broke in, how you got to be sitting here right now, and what's the path that led you to be drawing superheroes for a living, whether it's to your comics or whatever. How did you get here? And I know you touched on the logo just now, but it's whoever wants to just get into how you got in and what your break was.
I had a couple of significant things that were break-ins more than one, but one was getting an agent that got me into commercials and stuff like that, kind of got the ball rolling. But I was also doing these promos for the WB network, and for some reason they got the director of one of them was a DP on LA Repeal, and I guess he was trying to start directing or something, and he was going to direct an episode of LA Repeal, and they were doing this non-union, low-budget promo, and somehow the producer I was working with worked it out with him. So to kind of get me to storyboard the DP's handling the Beal work and cover F under his, I don't know what, they'd work out some, basically I was pawned off in some kind of bargain, but it got me into the David Kelly role, and that was cool, kind of got the TV, the stuff going. But the bigger break with that was getting to work on 6 Feet Under, Good Pilot, the Bell and Ball, and that kind of led to all the other HBO stuff from the US. And then those people kind of splinter off, and you just kind of create this web that's wider. And it's kind of the main breaks. But the reason I got into storyboarding is when I was in college, I saw an exhibit of storyboards from Star Wars and Apocalypse Now by Odd Sabalaris. And I had seen some of Joe Johnston's stuff, but that was a little more industrial design to me. I had seen the spaceships and stuff, but when I saw the, sea briefing over in the desert and, Vince Freeze and all the stuff that I had been drawing a few years before when I was, a kid, and I realized you could get paid to draw and be part of the production, and that kind of pointed me in that direction. So that's why I kind of just been nerds. Right. That's the goal.
When I was coming up, I would say that mine getting into the industry was really about getting or having samples to show people. Very briefly, I worked at Bloomingdale's back in New York, was where I marketed very, very well. A friend of mine, Oscar Nunez, who later became Oscar on the show, did The Office, told me to join up with this group called the Black Filmmaker Foundation. I had samples from doing a short film with your friends that do these things for free. Those samples got me on this movie, Drop Squad, which was an independent movie, Dang Out Above the Rim, which had a Tupac in it. And that movie got me second unit of dialogue with the engines, right? It's always about getting, starting here, have samples to show to these people, and then doing that job, and that those samples got to this job, like a daisy chain. A daisy chain, there we go. So and once I did, even on second unit, on the third, the Die Hard, getting a big movie, getting other projects. And then when I moved up to LA, it was working with John Singleton, which really, John got me to meet so many people, and Denzel through John.
Stuff a little bit, but Dan just reminded me when I was a kid, my grandparents gave me that the Joe Johnston sketchbook from Star Wars, and it blew me away. It changed my life. I didn't know you could actually be an artist and work on films. I was building models at the time, and I thought, well, maybe I could do practical and special effects. And that was kind of, for a minute, that was the dream. But then when I started working at Talktown, got to LA, it just kind of snowballed. You start to make connections. Charles and I were both working at an agency to do lots of commercial stuff, so I kind of came up through advertising, commercials, and when I was young, I was too poor to go to art school, so working in advertising is kind of like getting paid to go to art school. I mean, comics too. The more every job kind of improves you for the next job, and so I was just being in LA, I think, was what really changed my life, because it's more international, but at the time, LA was like the hub for everything. So, it just kind of music videos, advertising, theme park stuff. And I always tell my students it's really good to be like a jack of all trades, because it keeps you working. It helps be flexible and not just focus on one thing.
For storyboards, getting into this, it was actually I was in college, and a friend of mine had an alien book. It was the whole movie in photographs. I forget the title of it. I never owned it. And he would let me borrow it, and I would sit there and start copying the frames that I liked. Just drawing it. And I think that was maybe my first indirect exposure to trying to storyboard, because there was this whole book, shot for shot, Alien. It was on full color, you know. And I was just starting to, you know, just copy to friends because I didn't own the book. And there's a couple of images I just loved. And I think that was like the most indirect way. And then of course, just loving movies, just watching movie. And I think, and then professionally I started doing, I had an agent after I left the automotive industry. I went into animation, then obtained an agent, and he got me on commercials. And a lot of commercials was some illustration, but it was a lot of storyboarding, like commercials. And then through a commercial director, it was production designer Alex McDowell. He brought me into the Crow 2, and that's my first like experience storyboarding. But I was all over. It was non-union, so I was all over the place. I was doing concert work. I was designing tattoos. It was so much fun because it was my first like exposure into the film lab. So and then from there, I just love narrative. So you know, there's concept painting, but I really love narrative as well. You know, and that's all storyboarding.
Cool. How about you?
Let's see. How to break into the superhero stuff? I think, well, when I first started out doing storyboarding, I didn't know anything about the film language. And so that I just survived doing storyboards for about a decade, not knowing how to film language at all. In order to be able to do the superhero stuff, film language is a requirement. You have to be able to, there's so many things that you need to be able to do it consistently. So I think that's like, when I was able to do that, what led up to that is that I got into this animation. I think what helped me with that, I started doing animation storyboarding. There are different types of storyboarding. There's, you have the film, TV, the video games. Animation, I think, is the hardest one because you have to do so much. You have to do the acting, you have to understand the cinematography, the film, it's a lot. But I was on a project with Gore Verbinski. He did Ringo. He had a animation that he was working on. He accrued a big team. So there, I learned how to do the animation storyboarding because all those guys knew how to do that, and I got to see things move. So, where am I going with that? So yeah, okay, yeah. So I think that's like that's what allowed me to be able to do things, the more advanced projects. Like so, when from that I was able to go on to Magician's Elephants and then go into Blue Eye Samurai. Blue Eye Samurai's animation is a lot of movement. You have to map out a lot of different. It's a lot. That project they wanted you to have a live action type of format. So. Yeah, so I think that's those are the things that kind of led up to that, to be able to break in and do, so by the time I got to Deadpool, it's hard to turn off the animation storyboarding. It's like it's like, in fact, it's a funny note, like the directors that I work with, they love it when I do it, but the producers, they hate it. Because when they get the boards, and I have like I have like over 200 some odd frames per week for that stuff, and they start freaking out because they think those are actual shots. They're like, no, we can't afford all this stuff, it's very helpful. Also, the tools are very helpful now. I'm using like Blender. I like Blender because
is that what you're using for your backgrounds? Because I noticed some of the samples.
Yeah, it started. The Blender thing started out was they would give us the models. They'd have people give the models to the storyboard artists, and if you had the ability to be able to drive it, that's where I started. I was like, I just had to learn how to move this cursor around and be able to fly through it. That's how I started with that. Then I spent 2 months to actually try to learn. I wanted to be able to raise geometry up off the ground, and so that was very helpful. So now it's so now when I go into these scenes, the superhero scenes, they're so complex. They got so much going on. Like with the Marvel stuff, there's almost like animatics. They want you to deliver these animatics, and everyone has
these character action lines they're just crisscrossing. It's just a lot going on. But so if you're using something like Blender, you can just build the scene and then you can fly around it, and you don't have to keep reimagining the perspective. So it's easier to make shots. It's easier to pick your shots. No, then you can pick your shots at that point. So then it's because then you're into filmmaking. So what I'm saying as far as like the superhero stuff, they want more filmmaking. They want you to be able to do it. So you could edge down on the way that it looks, the drawings, and then you can start getting into the actual filmmaking, and it's perfect. You know, saying like that's what they, it's amazing. The idea at the higher levels, the ideas are the most important part. It's like how you're structuring things, and the ideas that you're able to communicate. And then we just happen to be able to draw them and put them on there. So that's why, like, you'll see some of my stuff. I'll use a lot of, I'll kit bash a lot of stuff. I'll take photographs. I'll use Blender or whatever. I'll just take it just to get the idea out, so I can keep moving on through different ideas. Yeah.
And is that a major part of your workflow now? Do you use Blender to do a lot of your backgrounds? Is that like
yeah, because I don't have to keep thinking about, you know, where is this, like, where is the
because you integrate the stuff beautifully in your boards. If I'm distracted, it's go, damn.
Yeah, it makes it a lot it's a lot. I like it because it's like I have this thing where I think of it as like a mental RAM. Is it like, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you're fresh, right? You got all this you got all this energy for things. But if you have to keep reimagining, these tasks, it just drains you, right? And so if you want to think about the filmmaking, just make things easier. So the Blender for me, it makes it easier. So that I can just, I'll budget out time where I'll spend maybe 6 hours building the scene. It took me 2 months to be able to do that. I can do that now. Before it took me, I was there forever trying to build it. But now I can build it out. And I'll spend the time, maybe even a day, to build up. Like, the director gives me a whole bunch of scenes, I'll spend a day, I'll do everything, and then next time we're on a call, I'll be like, hey, do you want to walk through it? And then now we can walk, and then they love it now. It's like, they have to, it's so where I can go in there and you can now pick shots, and then they have this thing called a grease pencil in there. I'm sure everyone knows that, right? So now you can pick shots, you can go in there and you can start drawing on on call with whoever's directing or whoever's running the show. And then you can start picking shots, drawing notes, and then you can just I also record everything. I tell everybody I'm on Zoom calls. Before I start the meeting, I'll have them record everything. So I don't have to pay attention to that either, right? So that mental RAM thing is like, I don't want to have to be like, oh, I got to write these notes down. I just want to be like, I don't even have to worry about it. I just go back through it. Sometimes we have an hour-long meeting. I'll have watched that meeting 3, 4, 5, 6. I just keep watching it, right? But that's on me. You know, like I have to like.
It's like game films. It's part of your discipline. It's like part of your routine.
Yeah. It makes it because then I noticed that with me, like everything's like I get on these calls with the directors, and they want to create. They'll have a base framework, but they just want to be organic, and they'll just start saying things, and when I go back through it, I'll like I forgot he even said that, right? And so but then I'll just I'm constantly record your stuff.
You had the opportunity, and give me a couple of influences and favorites.
So, Frank Pizzetta was huge for me in PG influence. And he did do some comic stuff, but just his entire approach, painterly and all that, was drawing, thinking, everything. More in the comic superhero world, really like John Buscema's The Conan and work, and Neil Adams and all that stuff. And that I work on the Penguin. I did not get to draw that, man. I would like to draw that now.
Yeah, so, as a teen, I love Wolverine. I love the X-Men, and that was my thing. And my first experience with X-Men when I was a little toddler was like Neil Adams. I didn't know. Had this comic book and I turned it into this pulpy rag. It was the Cypress issue.
Yes.
And the thing is, like, I was always, I wasn't reading, so I was just picking things I liked, and it turned out to be always like Neil Adams, but when I started going into the teens with Frank Miller and Sienkiewicz and everything, my favorite character was Wolverine. Yeah, because I was this young teen with a lot of range. So that's my favorite character. So like I would say I'd love to storyboard that. But I got to do this one fantasy piece when I was working with Frank Miller. We were doing the Justice League. Not Frank Miller, George Miller. We were doing Justice League.
Wow.
And I got the board on that. So I had the fantasy of working with my hero directors doing Batman versus a Viper. I was in heaven. But that movie never got made. But I got to work like 6 months with them on it.
So I did like 1 week on that.
And I was all excited, and then it just went away like that. It was like, yeah. And George Miller's like the coolest dude ever.
Oh, he's this welcoming professor. He's just brilliant, and he's just so much fun. And he wants ideas. He's got the big whiteboard. Like I told you, like punch, counterpunch, accelerating rhythms to get it going through with them. And that's the idea when I said earlier, I got to learn so much from my heroes, like Ridley and George Miller and Terry Gilliam. I got lucky enough to work with these masters, and they were everything I wish they would be, and I just got so much knowledge by working for it. And it was great.
About you, Charles?
As far as like artist influences, sure. Remember when I first started, I liked Fazetta, I like Frank Miller. I think now is like I have a library. I just have a whole bunch of everybody's stuff, and then per project I'll start absorbing of it. And so as far as like projects I've liked, I'd really like them to get back on. I'd like to get back on Blade.
That would be fine. I was on that for 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh. It's Blade's. I love that. I love the character. I would like to get back on the stuff that we had made before on Ideal. That's not gonna surface, but it was super cool. It's super cool. I'd like to get on. I'd like to be on X-Men. That'd be dope. Yeah. I grew up on all those type of characters. So there's so many. All those characters. I like to see Storm. Done nice. Wolverine. I like them all. I'd be down to get into all of those.
And I would constantly add Blade on. I actually did some free storyboards on the original Blade movie because he's on Andrew. It's an old friend of mine, so we had me do some storyboards. So that would be something that would have martial arts and the superhero stuff. So that would be like the perfect movie.
Yeah. Would have been the absolute mate.
Yeah, well,
I know. Yeah. Taylor show, Taylor Diamond. I know. Yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, Blade would have been one of mine too. I mean, I have a lot of the same influences. With me, some of the other ones were I loved music and comics like religion growing up. So there was a big component, particularly with rock music, where like, remember the old Rick James album covers like busting out of L7 when like the illustration of him coming through the wall? I was as influenced by like album art as I was by comic art. So and that was like the golden age of that stuff too. So like that kind of stuff, a lot of the old Parliament stuff, like Kiss or Iron Maiden, all those covers. Because when you get that little kid logic going, you don't make the distinction. I just knew it was cool and came with its own soundtrack. I thought it was the greatest thing ever. And then I had an opportunity, actually, I'll share this now because they'll never, ever make it. But I actually tried to pitch my own dream project years ago to Marvel right before Disney bought them. So my dream project was to have Dazzler, who is a mutant disco queen, set in 1977 in New York during the height of Studio 54, interacting with Bowie and Jagger and Michael Jackson and Liza Minnelli and Halston, the height of sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and she uncovers a conspiracy that goes back to Nixon and his corrupt ass, which would play directly to what's going on right now.
But Disney would never ever love you do it. But that would be my dream. So.
One really solid piece of advice to our crowd, if they want to do this kind of work, like give them something to go home with.
Superhero fatigue, I think, yeah, when it becomes a marketing thing and they're saturating it, they're filling your head.
And an awesome score.
Okay. So let me go for the advice part first. It's like, so I know a lot of people. I've seen a lot of you guys are like maybe just coming out of school, like you just coming out of just an encouragement that is not like a straight line. It's not a straight line to getting to wherever you want to get to. Just to keep systems in place and be kind to yourself and then just be willing to just get back up. And just be willing to just whatever goal that you have set up, then just be willing to just to get back up and then keep going after that. Yeah, because it's like sometimes like, I remember when I used to come here, I'd think like it just seemed like a straight line until I actually had to go walk through it. And then this is like, because you can have a lot of things that can come up. Going to come up. You're going to have like emotional things. You're going to have family things. You're going to have work things. There's going to be things that are going to just knock the wind out of you, and then whatever goal that you have set up, that it can be easily discouraged. So I'm just saying, just like when I first came out here, I was like, I think I had the advantage because I didn't have a lot of stuff. And I was like, I couldn't get a job. Like I was working retail. I was working over EPS. So it's like, but I saw something on TV, and it was like, and I was like, I wonder if I could go. I saw Stan's. It was something. He did like a documentary, and I saw it. And I was like, I wonder if I can go do that. I was like, because I was on the East Coast, and there's no film stuff over there. I didn't have any connections. So then I went and got my, I asked the dean at the school I was at, the Art Institute, and he said they did have an internship over there, and I just moved all of my stuff and went out. And I was like, so, and I just noticed, it's like, and I've been doing this for like 30 years, and so I've been a freelancer for 30 years. So that's an intense. And so what that means is that there's no security. There's no 401k, there's nothing. It's all faith-based. You know, like you just like, and also I also encourage that that it will, if you just start walking, like the steps will start happening, and you just have to keep moving, and then you just have to believe in yourself a lot. You know, and then just be willing to get back up, and then don't think that people are going to give you stuff. Communication. I have, in the entirety, I don't think I've gotten in anywhere through the front door of anything. I think I've either been referrals, or I've had to climb, or I've had friends and had people recommend me for things. It's like, so since we're over here in Lightbox, you know what I'm saying, like just keep talking, everybody. Advantage that it is so cool. There's a lot of people at Netflix, Sony. They're CEO. There are people who can say yes to things here. So, and this place is access. You have access to people. I was like, I'm here. It was like, these guys are here. After this is finished, you guys should get everybody's social media. That's so. That is so cool. I wish that like back then that there was something like that to happen, like social media, where it's like that. Oh my goodness! It's like, but you have that here now, and you're at Lightbox. You paid the money, the $70 to get here. or more if some people will pay them. But just like, yeah, just keep talking to people, and then the thing that's happened is what's the word for it? You have to have, it's a community-based thing in order to get jobs. Like if you go to those job boards, you probably won't get in. Because they have, I remember when I'm sorry, I'm taking all the time. Like one more thing, I remember as far as like the portfolios, I remember when I first came down here, there was a portfolio room, right? It's like everything went by, and then I remember at the agency I was at, they got hundreds of submissions a week. And then when I was behind the walls and I saw that, I was like, that is wild. I was like, because if you're not behind the wall, you just think that the hopes that you're going to submit something and then somebody's going to see it, which is probably not going to happen, right? So right now, what we have, you have access to the best things are LinkedIn, right? I use social media a lot. Social media is so cool now. I was like, you have a direct line to people who can say yes. So go to LinkedIn, right? What I started doing there, I just started adding people. You know what I'm saying? Like, and not only you just add people, you connect. Not just follow people. You have to connect with them. And to my understanding, is that opens up your base, right? So then when you post something, then it goes onto their feed. Social media is a mail delivery system. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you add people, if you add the like executives or people over Netflix or people like, just start adding people, right? Most people will talk to you. I'll talk to you. Like if you go in, if you my DMs or yeah, if you just if you want to reach out, just say that I'll help as much as I can. But you can do that with people that are already working, and that's the most important part. It's a community-based thing. Is that you have to talk to people. It's like don't expect getting into the front door, and also with the and also if you're still in school, it's like you must start interning. You must start getting inside. The idea you need to get inside the walls, right? You need to even if you're a PA, right? If you're a PA, you're inside the wall. They know you. They're like, oh yeah, I know Sally or Bob, right? And they're like, oh, I see you out there drawing in the courtyard. You know what I'm saying? He's getting coffee. You know what I'm saying? But they know you, right? And so like that's advice. Like I would do that. And also do not wait if you're in school. Do not wait to the finish line to go start looking for a job. You must start like 3 years in, or like if you're like third year, if you have 4 years, your third year, you get inside somewhere and start talking. And on LinkedIn, talk to people. And then also, last thing, I'm sorry, post with your. What I've noticed is that use social media and then in the sense where it's like post work. Don't post your dogs, don't post, like this. You post, create evidence of your ability, of what you can do. You know what I'm saying? Create evidence. You need that. I go to people's LinkedIn pages and I don't even know that they're artists, right? It's like you have to go, it's like when you have you have seconds of attention. If somebody goes there, you have seconds of attention. You got to go, and then it's otherwise, if they go scroll down, they just see dogs and they don't know where you fit, where you go, what you can do. They're going to go, and then you're lost. You got to go? Yeah. Okay. All right.
So,
yeah.
but no, that's great.